Hey scrapbook friends, it's Nicole and I'm here with our very first Savvy Scrapbookers edition of 2024. Thanks to all of you who gave me feedback and encouraged us to keep going and said that you've enjoyed this collaboration that I do with my good friends Debbie Martin and Donna Guest. So when you're done watching my video, you can go to the link down in the description and hop over and watch their videos. And when you're done, we will have used one paper pack, and this time we're using the embellishment pack. So you're not gonna have to buy multiple packs, even if you want to complete our layouts identically to the way we do them. However, you can always do at least my layout with any paper pack that you want. I always try to teach some kind of a technique that would work for various other papers. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to do a sample with another paper pack, but I thought about it. So I'm recording this actually way ahead because while you're watching this, I'm going to be at Disney with my daughter. We're dropping her off to do the Disney College program this year. Super excited about that. And so I have tons of photos over the years from Disney and other theme parks. Our family really enjoys theme parks, and it's kind of my favorite place to go on vacation. But I wanted to do something a little bit different today, and was to give you a layout using these papers that's not for Disney and not even for a theme park. So I hope that you won't be scared away by the name of the collection, even though it does kind of specifically go for a not to be named theme park. There's so many other things that you can use it for. And I also want to show you that I want you to be scared of the papers that I got. Donna and Debbie and we gather over Zoom every month, and we divvy up the papers and the embellishments and then decide who's going to use what. And this is what I ended up with. And so to do one layout with these might be a little bit scary. The nice thing about Creative Memories paper is that the back side is nearly always more subtle, well, maybe not polka dots and maybe not stripes, but more of a tonal. So like these together maybe aren't as bad. And so when you look at papers, don't be scared. This is a great technique that I'm going to be showing you for if you're down to like your last few pieces of paper in a collection. You don't have two of anything. I know a lot of people prefer to start with two matching backgrounds. And of course you could always do this on cardstock instead. But if you don't have, if you only have a few pieces left of collection, I think you could replicate this layout without too much trouble. So here's the layout that we're going to be making. And I actually have some photos of the, my husband, my daughter, and I, we went to the Taylor Swift movie. My daughter's a big Taylor Swift fan. And so these are the pictures that I have from that. So I'm not doing anything theme parky. And I hope that you will see that there are things you can do without needing to be, matching the theme that Creative Memories kind of said that we're going to use. Okay. So if you're willing to give it a try and stick with me to make a non-theme park layout using our theme park collection, let's get going on that. All right. So I'll move this out of the way, and basically we're going to end up cutting a bunch of strips. Let me actually pull this back. Let me show you the back. That's going to help you a little bit to kind of see how we put this together. We're going to be doing some welding. If you're not a fan of welding, you can, of course, stick these pieces straight onto your scrapbook page, whether you use a piece of cardstock or the Creative Memories pages with the jeeping. You don't have to do the welding if you don't like the welding. But if you use pocket pages or you don't mind the welding, that is the technique we're going to use so that we can have kind of this cohesion across both pages with these super busy papers. But I think you'll notice that because we cover up a lot of the busier papers with our photos, it's not so bad. And if it's too much for you, you could even leave the stripes off. But I'm going to do the whole thing. So if you're using a different paper, you're just going to need 2 3-inch strips of 3 different colors, 6 1.5-inch strips of a 4th color, that's your border. And then if you want, we're going to use some 1/2-inch strips to go around, and then some 1/2-inch strips for the welding. So I'm going to start by cutting my outside border. And for that one, I'm going to use this paper. I do love these little polka dots, but they don't go with all of this is too much, and I don't love these red polka dots for the photos that I have. So we're not going to be using the red photos, the red side, but we are going to be using this side. And even though it's kind of theme parky, we also have the popcorn, we have the sunglasses, we have the drinks, the stars, the cameras, all of those kind of go along with this Taylor Swift concert, kind of the Taylor Swifty theme. We have the tickets. I thought about trying to use the tickets because that definitely goes with movies, and I'll show you how you can do that if you prefer. But you know, I love stripes, but I don't love lots of the stripe, and so we're just going to be using little half-inch strips of the stripe as an accent around our page. And then we are going to also be using this yellow, and this is the only one we're going to be using both sides of, is this hard on the eyes stripe. It's just as hard on the eyes in real life as it is on the video. I can see it like flickering. And then the yellow, and this is kind of the main piece that you're going to see. It's going to be mostly the yellow and the blue with just a hint of these busy patterns behind it. All right, but it involves a lot of cutting in order to get this the way we're going to want it. So the first one I want to start with is the snacks. And the nice thing about this one for this layout is that the design of these, the pattern on here is right about 3 inches. So if you see right here, I put my 3-inch ruler, I come right to the top of the umbrellas. And then if I put the ruler again at the top of the umbrellas, you can see it's not quite exactly, but it's close enough that I felt like that got us you know, it's matching across both pages. So 3 is the magic number for this. We're going to cut 2 3-inch strips. And then you can decide what you want to do as far as what you want to use for the welding. You could use this piece if you want to, but I might try and save this and use it as a mat. On my sample, I used white as the mat, but I think I'm going to try it with this. So I'm not going to cut the rest of my little welding strips out of this, although you could. If like you hate this paper, go ahead and cut your welding strips out of it. But first we're just going to do 2 3 by 12-inch strips of the snacks. Then we're going to take the stripe with the yellow, and we're going to cut 4 3-inch strips, and I want to cut it across the stripe just because it's hard to match stripes this way and we don't want to have any waste. So we're going to cut this way across the stripe again, 4 3-inch, because this is the one that we use both sides. So we'll use the stripe and then we'll use the yellow. All right. And I love yellow anyway, but that's a lot nicer on the eyes. Now we're going to take the blue fireworks, and this is going to be our border, and we need 6 1.5-inch strips. So if you're using the Creative Memories trimmer, the 1.5-inch is 1 grid mark away from the edge on this side. And I always like to cut, when I'm cutting anything less than 1 3/4 inches, I like to cut it on this side so that when I put my paper in the trimmer, I can make sure that it's straight along here, and it helps me just to get a straighter cut. So 6 1 1/2-inch strips. And I probably should have done some little Post-it notes for you. But hopefully you can remember, because, you know, 1.5 is, of course, half of a 3-inch. 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I'm going to save this other piece for something else. And for whatever reason, when I finish cutting it, I'm a little bit shy of 3 inches. And I don't know if it's because when I cut, I tend to cover the line. Maybe I'm supposed to just butt it up against the line. I need to figure that out, but we're not going to use this, so it doesn't really matter that I have the, you know, that it's not exactly 3 inches. But I've got my 6 1.5-inch strips right here. All right. Now for this one, we want the stripe, but you might want to use the tickets. And so the way I did it before is I cut 6 1/2-inch strips of this, But for this one, I'm going to go ahead and cut on the reverse side using my using the line on my trimmer to cut between the gaps in case I decide I want to use the tickets instead of the stripes. So I'm going to go ahead and use the little sight lines. Hopefully you know about these. They live up in the end of your trimmer, and they just help you to see exactly where your cut's going to be. So can you see the little black line on here? Oops, hard to do it lifted up. But there's a little black line that shows you exactly where your cut's going to be. So I'm just going to position this. I'm not really going to measure. Oh, I guess I'm going to do that side. Start with that one. I'm not really going to measure. I'm just going to make sure that my little black sight line is halfway between these. And because they don't really line up with each other, whoops, that wasn't really halfway though. That's going to be a problem. Because they don't really line up with each other, it's not going to matter. I just want to have these tickets, and if not, I'll have the stripe side. That'll be all right because they'll be close enough for horseshoes, as they say. And I don't know, maybe they don't say that. I feel like that's a thing I've heard. So I need 6 of these, and then I need 6 more pieces to do my welding. Oh, see, the little sight line stuck to the blade housing. 4. I can also see just right here where the cutting line is. I'm kind of positioning it there first, and then I just use the sight lines to verify. 5. 6. Okay, so those are going to be my border strips, and then I just need the welding strips, and I need 6 more of those. So I'm going to cut these just at 1/2 inch, and that's not going to give me the full ticket, but that doesn't matter. And you can use anything for this. You do not have to use your nice paper. You can use I like to sometimes use like the paper that I don't like. If there's a paper, there's always, a paper pack that I don't really like one of the papers, or I end up with extras of something, or the insert paper that goes in the, that comes in the paper pack. You can use that. You're just going to need your 6, I think it's 6. I hope it's 6. 6 1/2 inch by 12 strips. Okay, so these are a little bit narrower than these that I tried to cut the tickets with, and we'll see how we like that. And then all we have left is assembly, and this is what we've got. We don't have a background page. Like I said, if you wanted to do this on a background page, basically what we're going to do is assemble it with the blue. It's going to go at the bottom, the top, and then I liked putting the snacks at the bottom, the yellow in the middle, and the stripe at the top, but you could rearrange it however you want. The paper you're going to see the most of is this middle piece, well, depending on how you arrange your photos. So we're going to weld those together, and then we're going to go ahead and stick this on the top. So if you're just going to do it on a piece of paper, you can just stick it down like this. But if not, we're going to go ahead and do the welding, because I really love welding. I love the way it helps me to get the most out of my paper. So the way that I like to weld is to take the back of my paper. I want to make sure I got it in the right order. And I butt the 2 pieces up against each other. I'll zoom down. How's that? All right. I'm going to butt these 2 pieces up against each other so that there's no gap between them. I want to have them as snug as I can. And then I'm going to take my regular tape runner. You don't want to use the repositionable. I mean, actually you maybe could use the repositionable, but I like this because this tape is going to, it's connected, and it's going to stick these 2 pieces. And then every 1.5 inches or so. You just need about a 1/4 inch. A 1/4 inch of adhesive. You definitely don't need to do the whole, you know, a whole bunch of adhesive. It came apart a little bit right here. Just kind of stick it together. Now take one of the 1/2 inch strips that you cut and just cover up the seam. I didn't zoom back out far enough, sorry. Just cover up all that adhesive, and as long as you've kept your adhesive right on the seam, you won't have any excess on the sides. All right, so that's the first one, and then we want the yellow next. So we'll do the exact same thing. I'm not zoomed close this time, so maybe that will be easier to see. But just, you know, you don't need a lot. I had somebody was talking to me recently that they have just recently switched to the CM adhesive, and they were so used to whatever their previous brand of adhesive, they had to use so much. You know, they were going all the way around, and it's like, it hurts my heart. It hurts my wallet to hear people using that much adhesive. And with this CM, you don't need to use that much. All right, and then finally we're gonna put the stripe. So just make sure, I like to check it from the front before I stick anything down, just to make sure I have it in the direction that I want, and you know, that I'm sticking the correct sides together. All right, so there are these 3 pieces welded together, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the other page at the same time, just so I have this done, and then I can finish the rest of the layout. Moved it out of my way, and now it's out of my way. So I need one of those, one of those, one of those, and 2 of these. So we'll do it just the same. Look at it from the front first, make sure it's the way you want it, and then flip them both over so that you know that it's going to line up the way you want. And I know that this one is, it's really busy. It's hard on the eyes, and perhaps, you know, this is too much. Even after we cover it with photos, these patterns are a lot, and you know, we just try to stick with just using one paper pack, and you might not need to do that if you're just doing this for your own scrapbook. You could swap out different papers or throw in some solids, but we want you to not have to go out and buy a lot of extra things to be able to do our layouts. All right, almost done. So I hope you can see that welding just doesn't take that much time, but it's given me the ability to have these 2 pages that are the same, even though, you know, I didn't have the, you know, 2 papers that were the same to be my base. Now for this one, I want to make sure that I have the stripes going in the same direction. It probably doesn't matter, but I just want to make sure that they're the same for that continuity. So again, I'm gonna start with it right side up and then flip them both over together. I'm making sure to align the end so that I get my I get an edge that's straight. Oops, fold that over. Doesn't really matter what order you do it in, and you see you don't need very much. Just enough to kind of stick those 2 together, and then this extra little welding strip covers up. Uh-oh, I didn't cut enough of those 1/2 inch strips. Darn it. I wonder if that means, oh, I didn't finish the other piece. I need 2 more 1/2 inch strips. So I told you 6, but you need 8 of those 1/2 inch strips, because we have 3 color pieces, and then we've got to do the 2, because we did the border at the top and bottom instead of just doing 4 pieces. So I need 8 of those. So now I'm going to stick the blue on the top. It's hard because I really do like this polka dot paper. But the theme park collections, a lot of Creative Memories collections are designed to be very seasonal, and you know, they release them. They only manufacture enough for us to have them, you know, available for a few months. You know, they're perfectly fine if we sell out of Christmas stuff by the end of December, you know, or the middle of October, apparently. They don't care about that. So you got to kind of jump on it. But with some of the bigger collections, we always get to have a tropical collection. We have a wedding collection. I think we're due for a new wedding and new baby collections very soon. Those usually are around for about 2 years. We had Sparks of Magic was the previous theme park collection. We had it for 2 years. We had Lullaby Lane for our baby collection. So this one we should have for probably 2 years, so you have time to use this. So, all right. So now I'm going to take these other 2 1/2-inch blue strips. You would, I mean, this would maybe be optional if you don't care about having the border, but I really liked the way it looked with the border. But if you're just wanting to do a layout to use up some of your scrap papers, you could easily be done with this right here. But I'm going to go ahead and put these on just to frame my page. And so just, you know, again, just kind of make sure when you line this up that you've got your edge all aligned straight. And in fact, if you didn't get a perfectly straight edge, then this will cover up any of that, you know, human imperfections. It's going on top, so you don't need a whole lot of adhesive. It just stick on the edge. So then we've got our frame. And I know it's still looking really, really busy, but I think by putting that dark blue frame around it, I want to say it softens it up, but it tones it down quite a bit. Just don't look at this one. I mean, this is really, it's worse on camera than it is in real life. So now I'm going to decide what I want to do. If I want to do the tickets, I kind of like the tickets. I should have done this on my sample, but you know, I love a stripe. So here's the way it would look with tickets. I think maybe the tickets are a bit much for this layout. I think it's hard. It seems funny to say that the stripe would be less than the tickets, but I think this is too much for me. Whereas the stripe, I don't know. I like the stripe, so I think I'm going to go ahead and continue to use the stripe just like I did originally. But you could use the ticket side if you want. And I didn't know that when I had us, you know, cut a little differently to be able to have the tickets as an option. But it's always good to have options. And we'll just stick all these down. And I've showed you in the past how you can miter a corner. And you could do that here if you wanted to, but I don't think it's necessary. Unfortunately, there's no way to make these stripes so that they all go in the same direction. So I'm going to go ahead and do the top and bottom first, and then I'll show you what I mean. Just because we cut from one piece of paper, they're going to be crisscrossing against each other when we get to the edge. All right, so this one I've got all the lines are going this way, but in order to put this down, these go a different way. See that? And there's no way to do it because we're cutting from the same piece of paper, the same direction. If you really cared about that, you could take a different piece, a second piece of this paper and cut in the opposite direction so that you get the stripes to line up. But I think it looks fine with the stripes. But I did choose to, do top and bottom and then edge rather than just doing it random. So, I mean, it gives you a little bit of a fake mitered look, I guess. And then we'll do the same on the other side. And like I said, I am filming this quite early. Today is New Year's Day that I am filming this because we are leaving on Wednesday the 3rd, to drive down to Disney. So I will be at Disney World while you're watching this. Well, depending on when you watch it, but if you're watching this on the first Wednesday of the month, sorry, the second Wednesday. We do the second Wednesday. If you're watching this on our launch day, I will be at Disney. I think I'm going to be at Animal Kingdom that day. So my daughter's program starts on Monday the 8th, but she's going to have some time off before she actually starts working, and they actually give them park tickets. There are kids that come down to work for the Disney College program that have never been to Disney World before. So they give them a little chance to do some sightseeing before they have to buckle down and get to work. So that's where I am while you're watching this. Okay, so here's our layout, and I think it's okay. I mean, it is really busy just because of the choices. If you wanted to, you could do the yellow, like you could do 2 yellow pieces and then maybe one, just the snack piece in the middle. You could do 2 yellow and you could do the red polka dots. Oh, sorry, the red polka dot side in the middle. I mean, you can mix that up however you want, depending on what your pictures are. And then my pictures, I have, some of them are 4x6. Well, one of them is 4x6. This one is on my husband's phone, and it's a true 4x6. All the rest are the 4 by 5.3 digital. So a lot of times I like to cut my mat to be just 4x6, and I trim my photo down, but I don't want to have to trim this photo down because I really like that it's got the now playing and there's just not that much of us. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take this piece from the front. We've never talked about this when we divvy up the papers, like who gets to use this. So hopefully nobody else is using it this time, and I'm going to call dibs on it. And I'm going to cut some mats. So the first mat is going to be 4.5. I'm going to cut 4.5 inches. And then I'm going to turn and cut this at 6 inches still. Ordinarily, I would like to do a 4.5 by a 6.5. But because this picture is already 4 by 5.3, I think that's perfectly fine for a mat. And this one I can easily trim off, you know, a 1/4 inch from each side or a 1/2 inch from this side. I think I'll actually trim off from each side because we're kind of centered. But I can do that. So I've got 2 of these mats for my rectangle photos. Then this is 7.5 inches wide now. I always double check my measurement right here on this edge of my trimmer. I'm at 7.5, and I did the math so you don't have to. It's 3 3/4, which is going to be perfect. So I'm going to cut it at 3 3/4, and then I'm going to cut. You don't have to stack and cut, but I'm going to cut 6 mats, 6 squares that are 3 3/4 inches. So since you guys are patiently watching there out in YouTube land, here are my, it is a little trickier to cut too, I admit. And so you just have this little bit left over. Now, if you wanted to, and maybe I do want to, you could use the this polka dot. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. You maybe don't want to do this yourself because I hate for you to waste the paper, but I'm going to try this. I'm going to cut. I don't have enough to do the 3/4, but I'm going to do a 3 3/4 inch square in case I want to swap out a couple of the mats for that. All right, and mats are always optional. You could, if you wanted to, just put your pictures down. I think that would work. Let's see, I'm going to cut these down, trim these down. You know, I think it works okay if I just put my pictures straight on the page, but I like I liked the way the white mat kind of gave some definition to these pictures. All right, so I'm going to let's see. Let's try it with this one. That's just really polka dotty. I don't know, but it's, you know, that's kind of Taylor Swifty. Okay, so because my square mats are 3 3/4 inch mats. Oh, wrong pen. Sorry, I thought I pulled out my CM pen, but that's a stamping pen. Okay, 3 3/4 inch square mats. Can you see that? I hope you can see that. 3 3/4 inch. I'm going to cut my pictures at 3.5, and maybe you've seen my little templates that I make. I do have a video about these just to see how those pictures are going to fit. The only one I'm really worried about is this one. if you're familiar at all with the Taylor Swift phenomenon, apparently one of the things is that the fans do is they make friendship bracelets and trade them with other concert goers. So this, I can still get all the people. This was the row in front of us, and my daughter didn't actually make the bracelets. One of my good friends had made the bracelets because she was going to the premiere of the movie with her daughter, and then her daughter got sick and she wasn't able to go. So it was, you know, her loss was our gain. All right, I'm just going to eyeball this one and cut about 1/4 inch off each side. I'm just going to put it up against this one to see how close I got. I guess I could go a little bit more. Apparently I can't really eyeball 1/4 inch. Or maybe I needed more than 1/4 inch. Okay, so that one's now, that's the same. And then these I need to be 3 3/4 or 3 1/2. And so I'm just going to cut on the edge of this person's head right here. And then at 3 1/2. And I think I mostly want to cut this off the bottom, which is the, you know, we've got one of those nice theaters with the reclining seats, and it's very fun. So all of them can fit. I'll just cut a lot of this theater off up here. Cut my husband's hands off. Sorry, hun. I mean to cut your hands off. And then, how do I center this? Oh, let's do that side. Half. And then this is kind of the same one, just her going around. Because my friend had given us the, I'll cut this. This must be my husband's shoe. I'll cut his shoe off. I've just cut his hand off. Now I'll cut his foot off. Because my friend had given us the friendship bracelets when my daughter was going around and giving them to people, I wanted to be able to send that to my friend so she could see the fruits of her labors. And then this one. All right, I'll keep the person on there in the end. 3 1/2. And I'll do this one this way, I think. Even though this is kind of distracting, this big beam, but I guess I'm trying to kind of cut off a lot of the movie theater green and yellow. And then here we've got little Taylor and her friends, and I'm still going to cut this at 3 1/2. This is just a picture I snapped near the end of the concert on my phone. Of course, no flash. I've talked about that before. I don't know. And I'm going to have to cut this person off because they're not going to be able to fit. So 3 1/2. Sorry, person. And then this one. I think if I do it this way, I can cut the whole person off instead of cutting somebody through the middle. So sorry. Sorry, person who I just cut in half. Let me clean this up. And then we'll pull out these mats. I'm going to do, because I'm doing the polka dots up here, I may not stick with polka dots. I want to do polka dots down here too. So I'll put that right there. Oh, and you know what? I ended up with a 1/4 inch mat around these, and I only ended up with a 1/2 inch mat. Oh, that's not enough. A 1/2 inch mat for the others. What happened to my white mats? Oh, there they are. I'll do this with the white mat right here. Now this does have a little castle on it that makes it a little bit Disney-esque, but if we position this right, we can cover up that castle and nobody will ever know that there's a castle on here, and it'll just work with our movie theme. Let's see. I want to do that one right there, even though she did that one second. And then I'm going to do 3 across here. And of course, this would, you know, this layout lends itself very easily to whatever photos you have. Actually, I think I want to do this one here that way. There's kind of a rule in layout design that you don't want people facing off the edge of your page. You always want people to be facing in. So because she's facing that way, I didn't want either of those to be on the side. And I don't know like how big a deal that rule is. Okay, I can't decide about the red mat. I'm kind of not loving it, so I think I might go back to just the white mats. You could also do black. You could do, you know, yellow. I thought about black. You could do blue. It might work depending on what the colors are of your pictures. But I think we're going to do it just like this, and then stick those down. And then the other thing we're going to use are some of the embellishments. And I'm actually using almost all the embellishments that I picked, which I never have done before. Usually it's like, oh, I don't need all of these. But the way that it worked this time, it kind of worked. And we're going to do the clusters. We're going to do the rule of 3. I'm going to put the heart with the polka dots right up here. The camera, because, you know, that's what we do. And I also have the yay. I didn't use the yay, but you could use the yay if you wanted to. I think it works right there. Because I got this yellow, I love that I have a lot of the embellishments that have the yellow. Then I'm going to do the drink. Because, you know, you buy drinks and popcorn at the movies, not just at theme parks. I might even scoot this over a little bit. So the drink and the popcorn. And then for here, this is a journal mat, but it's not going to be enough journaling for me. Enough journaling space. I'm going to use it as an embellishment. I'm going to put it right up here. So I'm kind of doing this triangle shape right here. I don't want to have 2 at the bottom. I don't want to have 2 at the top. You could do 2. I mean, you can, but I'm going to have to do top, bottom, middle over here. Then we're going to put the star and the little heart. And then this was wonderful is going to go right over the top like that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stick those down. And then I will come back and talk to you about the journaling. I'll put this all back together. I won't make you watch. And I'll be right back. And we'll decide if I'm going to use the yay or not. Okay, so I've adhered to everything. I did go ahead and cut all of these pictures down to 3 1/4 so that I could have that consistent 1/4-inch mat. But then I decided I did kind of want that polka dot to offset this red polka dot. So I ended up cutting this down to 4 1/4 and then putting it on top of the 4 1/2-inch mat. So I got just that little frame. And I feel like the polka dots almost look like footlights, you know, like from the stage. So I think it's not as much as if I would have done just the red polka dot mat. It still has the white. But then, of course, all of these are now, this is now an 1/8 of an inch mat. So all that was kind of maybe for nothing. And then I did the journaling on, I just cut some 3/8-inch strips of cardstock. Again, I used the back of one of our old paper packs because tomorrow, or for you guys, last week, Creative Memories released some write-on journaling strips. And I think they're a great way to add journaling, especially on a busy page where you don't want to necessarily risk writing on the background. Also, if you make a mistake, you can just, you know, scratch that part out. I guess I threw that away already. But I did make a mistake a couple places and I just, you know, trimmed that piece off. So the ones that are from CM, the write-on journaling strips are stickers. And so you can just write on them. They've got a matte finish, kind of like the white ABC stickers, I think. So you can write your journaling and then put that on. So I just wrote about that all our efforts to buy tickets to a live Taylor Swift concert have failed. So we were so glad she offered the movie version. And then I talked about my friend and the friendship bracelets. And down here I said that the movie/concert was amazing. And even non-Swifties like me and my husband thoroughly enjoyed it. And we still want to see it live. So I think that's a lot of fun. I did end up putting the yay on here. But I think it's not super obnoxious and it's totally not theme parky. I don't think you look at this and think, oh, they're at Disney, even though there's one little tiny castle right there. So we do have these little epoxy embellishments. I could maybe put a little sticker down here, but I'm not going to. If anybody's looking at my scrapbooks that closely, they're another scrapbooker, and they're going to be impressed that I managed to use theme park paper for a non-theme park layout. So I hope that you got some ideas from this and that you will feel like it. You'll know that you don't have to be wedded to whatever Creative Memories decides the theme of the paper pack is. Use it for what you want to use it. I think I'm going to put the date over here on another little strip except I don't know what the date is. I have to look that up. So I think it was like December 1st or something like that. I'll put the date right here because I do like to put the date maybe down here using these little strips. So I'd love to hear in the comments if you have purchased or are planning to purchase the Adventure Parks paper pack. Are you going to use it for Disney, or do you have some other ideas that you might want to use it for? So you might want to watch Donna's and Debbie's first before you answer that. And maybe you'll get some ideas as you watch them for what else you could use this for besides that very specific theme park that these colors kind of match with. All right. I will be back tomorrow with another pre-recorded edition of Theme Park Thursday, one I'm super excited about. And then we, the Savvy Scrapbookers, will be here again on the second Wednesday of February with the next edition of the Savvy Scrapbookers collaboration. Thanks so much for watching, and happy scrapbooking.